We're back to talk more of the beautiful game. Francis Maxwell, Robert Littal. It's a pleasure.
Football!
Do you know how much you just moved up? I mean, you're already pretty high, but as soon as you call it football instead of soccer, you're immediately a fan favorite.
Here's the thing that bothers me. Like, we call American football, but there's really not a lot of punting and kicking in it. It's mostly throw ball. Why don't we call it run ball? It's a lot of run ball. I don't know. We stole that from you guys.
These are my heartstrings, and you're just pulling them. I'm so happy. Right? You say I had a name. I called it hand egg. For the longest time on 2IT Sports, I was calling it hand egg. Before I started to really like the sport, and I kind of was like, what an idiot I was. I mean, but I get the whole aspect of it. You kick it once at the beginning, now and again in between.
Yeah, every once in a while.
Yeah, it's completely goes against the whole idea of it. But soccer was actually the original name. It was
was it?
Before. So
I've learned something right now. Yeah, educate me.
I know, it's bad. Here's my rule on it, right? When you're in America, you call it soccer because it's a reason here. It makes me, I love when you call it football. What I don't like is the in-between where someone will come up to me and go, you watching the footy?
Oh, the footy. They say the footy?
Yeah, they try to be like that. Try to like appeal to my culture. And
I give you permission to pick up a bat and just hit me. You have my permission. My girlfriend's a lawyer, so we get you.
Will cover me?
Yeah.
I'll go ahead. Judge. They try to call it footy.
Yeah.
And like,
I think I can do all of
throw this out.
All the illegal things I can do. I'll be like, I got a parking ticket, sweetie. She's gonna be so mad at me. Okay,
we're talking footy. We're talking footy, football, footy. The World Cup's going on at the moment, and it is one of the hardest so far, in my opinion, to call. It's early days. We're only one game. The first game kind of came to a close. Some teams are now playing their second game. Portugal, by the time you guys are seeing this, have wrapped up a victory for them. But it's so hard to call at the moment because there's so many big teams that not just are falling at the first hurdle, but in my opinion, what you can see early is just the way the teams are playing to give you an indicator and the level of confidence, because teams play very well at the beginning and don't get the result, but it's not panic stations at the moment, and no one is really at that stage. Mexico beat Germany. That was the biggest one because Germany are the world champions. They're coming back, and a lot of teams expected the machine of Germany to go back in and reclaim that trophy and show everyone that they're there to compete. On the other hand, the team that I'm more worried about is Argentina. Lionel Messi, which we'll get to in another clip. You guys don't want to miss that. Talking Messi and Ronaldo. But his team struggled against Iceland. Now, the result is not what I'm talking about. It's the performance.
Okay.
I was so left feeling lackluster when I watched this Argentina team play. They rely far too much on the individual brilliance of certain players, but together as a unit, they don't look to me like a team that is focused at this point. But that can all change because if you get past to the next round, that all goes out the window.
Now, does that happen a lot where you have, like you said, individual brilliance of certain players, and then we see that a lot maybe in basketball, NBA basketball is where you have LeBron, you have a certain player, and you just start staring at him.
You're telling me that Cleveland rely on the individual brilliance of LeBron James?
Right. And they just kind of stare there. Right, exactly. So does that happen a lot in soccer? Where like, okay, he's gonna make something happen, and the rest of us are just gonna stare here and be ready to celebrate what happens.
Yeah, and it's a great question. I've answered this before when the differences between the games. It's a lot harder for individual brilliance to influence the overall outcome in football because you get 11 men, right? On a basketball court, surface space is smaller. You can rely on individual talent a lot more so. Teams are getting smarter now playing against that individual brilliance in football because Portugal, who just won the Euros back in 2016, Ronaldo is their individual brilliant player, but that team didn't win the competition because of Ronaldo. They won it because defensive strategy. They really they absorbed pressure like a sponge and then hit teams on the counter-attack. Whether it was Ronaldo that put the ball in the back of the net or someone else, that was a strategy. It wasn't just individual brilliance. So that's a good point because Argentina at the moment seem to be relying on individual brilliance and trying to hope that those star players of Lionel Messi, Sergio Aguero, Di Maria come up big for them when the strategy, in my opinion, they don't look like they have a game plan. Germany, on the other hand, their game plan was just outperformed by Mexico, who did the same thing. They absorbed the pressure and they hit on the counter-attack. So because of these upsets at the moment, it's just so hard for me to call. France struggled early doors. They got a penalty kick. The first ever penalty to be scored thanks to VAR.
VAR.
Yeah, finally coming into play.
Like, oh, this is interesting.
Yeah, they're finally having it. It was the first penalty to be scored. They're a little harder to call because it's early. We'll see what happens in their second game. But at the moment, I'm pulling my hair out because usually at this moment, in the previous World Cup 2014, Germany, you could start to see these teams that were going to make a run for it. Uruguay, or as I've been told, I used to always insult people for calling it Uruguay, but apparently that's actually the pronunciation when you come from Uruguay. I've always called it Uruguay.
Hard U.
Hard U.
Okay.
They've got individual brilliance, but as well as a team, they still look to me like they have organization, they have structure, they have a game plan that they can adjust when need be. They've got the Suarez's of the world, but they've also got the ability, I think, to pull out a result. They're currently playing their second game at the moment. We'll see how that. All my opinions could be thrown out the window because they could be losing right now, but who knows?
How much is coaching?
Oh my God!
You know, because people always debate that in other sports.
Yeah.
How much is the coach really affecting what's going on with these talented players?
Enormously. As much as I would say in the basketball court, because if your team suddenly starts to have their individual brilliance nullified, like teams are going to do against the Lionel Messi's of the world, it's on your coach to identify that and adjust your team so that you can try to allow for him to have some space. Like, for instance, Mexico, in my opinion, you got to give that to the coach in that game, because what they did is they forced Germany to commit another player forward to the attack because Carlos Vela was retreating back into his own half and defending. When he does that, that means that the defensive midfielder of Germany has to push higher up the park, leaving a gap in the middle. They took advantage of that gap. That's how they got their goal.
Lesson, always take advantage of the gaps.
The gaps are the biggest thing. Unless you're on the train coming off of New York, which you nearly did. There is a gap there. You don't want to take advantage of that gap. So coaching is something that is often overlooked. But Portugal won the Euros in 2016, not because of Ronaldo, not because of the individual brilliance, but because of coaching. Sousa is a mastermind, and I just watched their game this morning, and the American analysis was saying, no, this is their game plan's all wrong. Their game plan was right. They're absorbing the pressure, and they were turning it into their positive. And I think that teams need to do that going forward.